10 books to talk about. And I am so excited to say that because I've not read 10 books in 1 month in a very long time. So we're excited today. Let's hold the books up. I'm not going to show you the spines because I want what I read to be a surprise. But what? Even I am so excited to talk about these. So let's get into it. Hello everyone, my name is Erica. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I have a ginormous, actually let me stand up so you can see this. This, my friends, is a blanket hoodie. Oh, the inside, yes, it is absolutely amazing, the coziest thing, and I got it for my birthday. One of my friends gave it to me for my birthday, so you know who you are. Thank you so much. Because I know you watch some of my videos, so shout out to you. But October was such a good month, like in every way possible. Also, if I'm a little bit quieter than usual, it's because it's probably after 10:30 and people are in bed, so I don't want to be too loud. Why do I do this at night? Don't know, but maybe it'll be just kind of like a cozy little video. But anyways, I read 10 books. Haven't done that in a long time. It was my birthday month. We went on a trip. This month was just so good. And this is also my last monthly wrap-up in this house. My next wrap-up will be in Colorado. I can't believe that that's happening. We're leaving oh, I don't know if I mentioned it is November 4th. I don't think I mentioned that. So we are leaving the end of this month to go to Colorado. So this is a bittersweet video. So let's go ahead and jump right in. The first book, and we started off this month with a banger, and it was a reread. The Story People by Heather Kaufman, one of my favorite books of all time. Everything about this book, the vibes, the story, the characters, it's just my favorite. And when I think about this book, I just get so happy because, yes, but it is about Ben. He owns a bookstore he inherited from his uncle, and it's a very small town vibe. Makes me think of my hometown. Like, it's totally different, but still just like the small town. You kind of know everybody or know of everybody. And he's thinking about selling, and then he's thinking about selling his bookstore, and then there's these old ladies in his life who don't want him to sell, so they try to play matchmaker, and then he actually meets Rosemary, and there's so many different aspects to the story that I find it hard to even explain to people. But if you love books, if you love stories, if you love just little cute fun romance with also great faith content, clean, 5 stars. This is actually what I consider a 6-star book for me. I have a list of a few books that in my head are like, this is better than 5 stars, and this is one of those. So Story People by Heather Kaufman, loved it. The next book that I read is another 5-star, and I actually found out about this book. I was visiting one of my friends in Tennessee, and she loves reading as well. And I saw this on her shelf and I was like, ooh, that's a pretty cover. Like, it looks interesting. And so I bought it. And that is Crescendo by Alan. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Sheen. I don't know. But first of all, the cover is really pretty. Like, it's kind of metallic. So I was like, yeah, I play piano, I sing, I love music. So I was like, this would be interesting. And this is basically the story of, wow, why am I completely blanking? Fred Allen. And Fred Allen was basically a musical genius. And it gives his story beginning with his life in poverty, when he was born into poverty, endured terrible things in disgusting environment. And it's just his story of people who helped him in his young years, which led to meeting his wife, going to school, his career, his highs, his lows, basically the crescendo. Like, I'm speechless. I loved this nonfiction so much, and I highly recommend it, especially if you love music and singing and anything like that. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. I loved it so much. Okay, so I was gonna move on to the next book, but found this quote that I highlighted, and this is why I tab my books. This quote kind of sums up Fred Allen's life. It says, every brutal abuse, every heartbreaking trauma, every bad choice and mistake and wrong turn had been equipping Fred for something bigger, for something more meaningful, for this. Yeah, we're gonna stop talking about that one now because I love it so much. Okay, the next book I actually read on my phone, and that is The Secret Keepers of Old Depot Grocery by Amanda Cox. I really enjoyed this. I give it 4.5 stars. I listened to her other book, The Edge of Belonging, on audio a month or two ago, and I don't count audiobooks as books that I've read. Maybe one day I will, but I don't listen to very many audiobooks. Plus, I don't feel like I can say I read a book if I haven't listened to it if I listen to it on audio, so. But I really enjoyed the story. It was really sweet and had sweet moments, heartbreaking moments. One issue I did have with it, and someone did point this out to me before I read it. I heard another review about it, and it brought this to my attention. And I'm not sure if I would have had this issue if they wouldn't have mentioned it first, but since they did, I definitely thought about it. And that is the fact of the secrets that these people kept could have been addressed. And the misunderstandings could have been at least worked towards being solved much quicker than they were. So that was the one issue I had. There was great faith content, and it is about, it's dual timeline, so it's really hard to explain a dual timeline story. But basically it's about a family grocery store that has many secrets, and it is about to be shut down, and the granddaughter of the woman who owns Old Depot Grocery starts uncovering secrets, and it goes back into her grandmother's past and her mother's past, and I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I would recommend it. And then the next book I read, I actually started this on August 30th, and so it took me a while to read it, but it's okay because it was a reread, and that is Waymaker by Anne Voskamp. I read this for the first time in March, and I loved it, and so I reread it, and especially for the first half of this book in the season of life that I'm in currently, I feel like it was really good for me to read again. I feel like I didn't connect with the second half as much as I did the first time, but I think it was just because maybe it was a reread and I had read it so recently. But still, I underlined so many things the first time and the second time. And I love her writing style, and I would definitely recommend this, and we'll probably be rereading this many, many times. And then another reread. I had three rereads this month, which is pretty cool. I guess I was in the mood for rereads. But that is Anne of the Island by Ella Montgomery. If this cover doesn't scream October, I don't know what does. I read this last October. I think it was October I read this last year. And since I'm rereading the series, obviously, I had to read this one next. And this is just so good. And I think Anne of Green Gables is my favorite series. I just have such a special place in my heart for these because I've known the Anne story for a while, and I feel like it's a very well-known story. But man, these books just get me, and I love the characters and everything about it. So this is about Anne and her friends in college and the house they live in, and her and Gilbert's relationship, and some other drama happens, and it's just 5 stars. And these books smell so good. Did you need to know that? Probably not, but I don't care. We're here for it. We're only halfway done. Hold it. So the next book I read is The War I Finally Won by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. This is book 2 in the War That Saved My Life series, I guess. It's a duology, and this is book 2. And I gave this one, how many stars did I give it? I have it written down here. I gave it 5 stars. And I don't know if there's like a plot to even really tell you what it's about, but it's following Ada, who is an orphan now living with her caretaker, obviously, and just kind of her story over a year or several years of hard things that happened in the war, and just kind of her growth. And I don't really have much to say about it because it's one of those books that it's hard to remember all the details of what happened, but I did really enjoy this and tabbed a lot, so I do recommend. And then I read The Last Bookshop in London by Madeline Martin, and obviously I tabbed this one up too, and this was such a fun read. Oh, what do I even say about it? Obviously, the bookshop vibes. I'm here for all of the bookshop vibes, always. And I will say this. There's one scene in here where the main character is getting picked up for a date. And when I tell you I read this scene, I was like, Lord, bring me this man, because is he perfect? That is really dramatic. But he shows up at her door, and so they're in the middle of a war, right? Okay. And so flowers are very hard to come by. They're mainly selling purple cabbages. And he shows up and he says, basically he tells her that he doesn't have any flowers for her, and it's their first date. And then he proceeds to hand her a book. And it's about, this story is just full of friendships formed around books and stories. And also shows some really hard things that happened during the war. Lots of loss and death, and it was sad to read, and it was beautiful to read, and it was just like lighthearted. It was like lighthearted and also hard-hitting at the same time, and it was so good. So I definitely recommend The Last Bookshop in London. And it's floppy, and I love floppy books. What am I doing? The next book, Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I interrupt this wrap up to insert clips of me rambling about this book for a little bit, so please enjoy these clips. So, I am currently reading Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, and I'm really enjoying it. But can we talk about, if you've read any Jane Austen, you know that a theme in a lot of her books, which was true in these times, in the 1800s, I think it's 1800s, was how people would marry for money, and children would be disowned if they did not marry someone that the parents approved of because of wealth. And it blows my mind. And it makes me like, these people are stupid. But what do we do now that people in... It cut me off, but basically what I was saying is, what do we do now that people in 200 years would be like, what were they thinking? But something such as marriage, I would stay single forever. Because, like, these people will not see their own children because they marry someone that they love and not someone who is wealthy. I just don't understand. Yeah, I know you didn't ask for that little rant, but I just have been thinking about that while reading this book, because I'm just like, thank you that we don't have to do that, or that I am not in that culture and situation. So, rant over. Fantastic, 5 stars. Love this story. Took a while to read it. I started it October 2nd, finished it October 26th, but it's a classic that you just read slowly. At least it was for me, and I loved it so much, and I already knew the story. But even though I knew the story already, I think that actually made the story better. Oh, now the loud AC is gonna... Really? Did you have to do that? Anyways, if you don't know what this book is about, just go read it, and then you'll know. But it's about 2 sisters, and their lives, parts of their lives. I'm so... Okay, sorry, I got cut off. Where was I? Oh yes, the sisters' lives. It's about Marianne and Eleanor, and basically it's kind of like they're coming of age a little bit, meeting new people, falling in love, being disappointed in love, and rising above that, and all the characters that come with it. And I love Eleanor so much. She's the oldest daughter, and so obviously I relate in that area, and I don't know, I just loved it, and it's a classic, and highly recommend. Sense and Sensibility. And then, oh my goodness, I'm so excited to talk about this book. I also just got this for my birthday, and so thanks, Mary. It is The Short Straw Bride by Karen Whittemire. Is it Whitmire? Whittemire? something. But this book was literally so fun. It is about, what's her name? Meredith. Meredith comes across Travis Archer when she is 10 years old, and basically he doesn't go out and he stays on his land, but she gets her on his land and he takes her home, and so she develops a crush on him until she is older, and that's like the only time she's ever seen him. And she doesn't see him again for many years until she hears of a plot to burn his barn down. And so she goes to his land after not seeing him for years and warns him, and the story goes down from there. And it was just so sweet and so cute, and I just loved it. And I feel like I loved it more after I was done reading it, even than I did while I was reading it. Does that make sense? Does that ever happen? Like, you enjoy a book while you're reading it, but then when you're done, you're just like, oh, I love it. That's this book, and 5 stars for sure. And there's another book, or maybe some more books in the series, and I definitely want to read that, so. And finally, the last book, the grand finale. This was a pre-order. I pre-ordered it, I don't even know how long ago, but it was kind of funny the way I found out about this book. I was scrolling through Instagram and through recommended posts, and I found this author. I think this is her first book. She's super young, and I started following her, and I read her book, Fostered, by Tori Hope Peterson, and I gave it 5 stars. It is her memoir of her journey through foster care and her heartbreaking story, yet filled with so much love and redemption in the end. Not only was her story powerful, but she also shed light on so many things in the foster care system that is broken and corrupt, and not fair, really, and how she was blamed for things. And it's heartbreaking, and it's beautiful, and it's so good, and it's so short, but I literally tabbed so many things. Like, yes, I'm so glad I read this, and I loved it, obviously, and I think it's really beautiful. So I highly recommend this, especially if you have a heart for foster care and adoption, or are just interested in the topic, or if you just want to know about someone who went through this. Highly recommend. 5 stars. So that, my friends, is my October reading wrap up. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully it was cozy and not too strange. Hopefully I gave you many recommendations. Hopefully I give you some good recommendations that you will take with you and read, because I enjoyed all of these books. So yeah, that is all for this video. The last reading wrap up in this room. Oh wow, my chair's loud. But yeah, so like I said, it's November 4th, and I've already finished 2 books this month. It's a problem. I'm on a roll right now, so we'll see if that continues, because we have lots to do with moving and all that comes with that. So I will talk to you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!